Following weeks of increasing tension along the Ukrainian border, Russia launched a full-scale attack on its neighbor early Thursday morning. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the military operations, saying that the goals included the demilitarization of Ukraine. Putin said interference from other countries would lead to, quote, consequences that you have never experienced in your history. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged citizens to donate blood to help wounded soldiers. We are already handing out weapons and will hand them out to defend our country, to everyone who wants and has the capacity to defend our sovereignty. The future of Ukraine depends on every citizen. President Biden released a statement condemning Russia's unprovoked and unjustified attack, vowing, quote, the world will hold Russia accountable. Ukraine is a democratic country of about 44 million people. It voted for independence after the fall of the Soviet Union, and Ukrainian officials say the country plans to join NATO and the European Union.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Israel Update. As you can see, I'm in my home. I'm not recording this in the studio as I normally would. I had another show planned for everybody, but because of what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine, we just wanted to come on here and speak about it for a couple of minutes. Obviously, there's a lot of fear right now. A lot of people are uncertain about what's going on. We don't know the long-reaching effect that this situation could potentially have. The butterfly effect of this could be unbelievable. And so, you know, the thing for you and I think, to remember in this time is that throughout the centuries, throughout the millennia, there have been wars, kingdoms have risen and fallen, kings have risen and fallen, people groups have risen and fallen, but God has remained the same. He's remained constant, and he's defended and protected his people Israel. Now, I know that right now this might not seem like, oh, it's going to impact Israel directly, but the truth of the matter is that it will. It's such a huge part of it. And so, you know, the military alliances that are going on, where you look at the nuclear superpowers happening, you know, who could be players here? What would happen if this did actually go nuclear? The implications are actually too much to comprehend, because we saw the impact of World War I and II, and those obviously weren't nuclear wars, whereas a World War III would be nuclear. I say all of that going, we as people need to be like the sons of Issachar, who know and understand the times in which we're living, but we also have an unshakable trust in the God of Abraham. That's where we get our foundation from. And so some of this has been predicted in scripture. You know, it does seem like we're probably inching somewhat closer to Ezekiel 38 and 39, the war of Gog and Magog, and where you see that an ancient prophet predicted and saw a military alliance that at the time would have seemed absolutely absurd and impossible. He predicted a military alliance that's happening now. What that leans in and shows us, what prophecy shows us, is that God is completely in control. He sees the end from the beginning. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. There's nothing that he's unaware of. There's nothing that he's afraid of. There's nothing that he's concerned about. But for us right now, the reality is there is some fear. The reality is there is some concern. There is obviously some stress involved. You know, for those in the United States, we're kind of going, well, what's going to happen? What's going on for people in Europe? I mean, some of you watch from Europe. That's a whole other level, because you're right there with everything that's going on. But I think for us, something that we need to just constantly be aware of is that we cannot give in to the hype, and we cannot give in to the fear surrounding what's happening in terms of allowing our peace to be shifted. But we need to pray. We need to be watchful. We need to be mindful. We need to be careful where we're getting our sources of information from. Jane Donna and I recorded a show this week with General Michael Flynn. He's an excellent man. It was a real honor to do that with him. And obviously he's a brilliant military strategist. The man's got 3 master's degrees. He's a brilliant human. And speaking to him somewhat, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit, and I realized a little bit more of the depth of what's going on in the situation. He just released an official statement as well about everything that's going on with Russia and the Ukraine. But the point is this: we've spent so many years being boots on the ground in the Ukraine. Everything that we're doing now, a couple of weeks ago, Yael Eckstein, the president of the IFCJ, she and I did a show, and we started sowing towards the Ukrainian Jews when there started being rumblings of there being trouble on the border of Russia and Ukraine. And so far we've raised some money. We're obviously trusting God that we're going to raise a lot more, because the truth of the matter is that the Jews in the Ukraine are being persecuted. And now more than ever, they need our help. And so the show that Yael and I did together, we spoke about the work that they're doing on the ground, and we are partnering with them to do that work ourselves as well. So obviously, I'm not going to go to Ukraine myself. I can't, but Yael's just been there. And beyond that, when we're sowing and when we're giving, we're doing something that's eternal. And we're also helping save the lives of Ukrainian Jews. Yael just had a flight land this last week with about 100 Ukrainian Jews that were leaving because of the persecution. And on the ground right now, we're wanting to sow towards having emergency medical supplies. They need that now more than ever, especially with what's just happened, especially in eastern Ukraine. I mean, God only knows. I'm recording this on Thursday. By the time Friday comes, there could be full-blown war. I don't know. But what I do know is that I myself have been sowing into this campaign because I believe in it so much. But you're going to see a little video at the end of this. And my encouragement to you today as an act of faith is to give and to say, God, let this, whatever it is that I'm able to give, let this go towards the Ukrainian situation, so that we're marrying our finances and our faith. And so that's my encouragement to you today. I always say it without any pressure, of course, but if you feel moved in your heart, I would encourage you to do that, because it's a way that we can help in the situation there in a practical manner, where children are being fed, old people who are Holocaust survivors who have no heating in their homes. We're providing heating for them, we're providing food, we're providing shelter, and of course we're providing safe haven for them to leave the Ukraine, go to Israel, and that's fulfillment of ancient prophecy in the book of Zechariah, which is incredible to know we're able to be part of. But again, very short today, just wanted to let you know we're watching the situation in Ukraine, and obviously our heart immediately is to try and help the Jews who are struggling there and who are being persecuted, because always the Jews get persecuted first in a situation where there's war. So we're praying, continue to pray with us. Make sure you watch the House of Destiny show tomorrow, houseofdestiny.tv, and we'll just keep you updated and alert. Doobie's on a flight right now back to Israel. You'll be hearing from him next week for sure, but please continue to stand with us, pray with us, and I'm trusting God that we're going to be able to raise so much money to send to help the Jews in the Ukraine who are being persecuted and who are struggling because of the situation. But God bless you guys. Let's keep praying and let's keep watching, and we'll see you next week on Friday, as always, at israelupdate.org. God bless.
There is a crisis in Ukraine. Our beloved Jewish Ukrainians are under attack. The Jews always come under attack first, and we, like you, love Israel and the Jewish people. Together we are committed to standing with Jews around the world. Zechariah chapter 8. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will save my people from the countries of the east and the west. I will bring them back to live in Jerusalem. They will be my people, and I will be faithful and righteous to them as their God. Thousands of years ago, the prophet Zechariah saw the time we are living in right now, a time when Jews who had been scattered throughout the earth would be brought back to Jerusalem, miraculously, and dwell once more in the Holy Land with the Holy One of Israel. By partnering with us on this project, you are part of fulfilling ancient prophecy. Every cent donated will go directly to the Ukrainian Jews in need, and together with us, we will be the hands and feet of prophecy in action.